Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Goodness Entertainment TV. Yeah, it's a new series of bringing to you Global Impact Mindsets, a series where we are inviting young creative individuals making global impacts in their respective fields. They share their experience and encourage contemporaries to join them on the journey. So, with me, I have Wisdom Ekwere. Glad to have you on the show. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
So, Wisdom Ekwere is a graduate of Electrical Electronics Engineering with a first class honors from University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Is a man helped by God, as he always says. All right, our topic of the session is striving academically in a Gen Z world. From my personal analysis, there seems to be fewer people um, graduating with a first class in this, should I say, in this part of our country or something like that, and they want to defend, they might want to blame it on different factors, the schooling system, the whole thing, and lack of interest and all that. But I centered it on the Gen Z because I feel this era is just just about the era looks like okay, just about the Gen Z and everything. Like they have come to take over and they are trying to tell other generations that there's a better way of doing something. But along with it, there's a kind of laziness attached with them. There's kind of distractions online and within, aiming for the bag, trying to secure the bag, as we all know. There's less concern about the schooling, and they just want to do things their own way. The someone is that okay, there's a better way of doing something. So you getting a first class, getting a first class in a seemingly distracted world is it's an achievement, an achievement. So we'd like to ask you some questions on how you're able to achieve this. So quickly, what's it feeling like being a graduate of elect with a first class honor? What's it?
Um, well, first of all, the feeling is surreal. It's different. It's heavenly. It's divine. I mean, because you feel like you've been planning for something, working towards something for 4 5 years, and at the end of the day, it gets into your hands. There's nothing that you plan for and work towards that when you now finally get it doesn't feel like a very big achievement. So yeah, it's I felt the very first time I saw that, I felt very, very excited, elated. I believe the same way players feel very excited when they finally win the World Cup or any significant cup. So that excitement that yeah, you've been working and planning and going towards something and then finally you have it, something that sets you high above others in terms of academic ranking and everything. So it's a divine feeling.
Uh, um, yeah, that's a nice one. Like, how do you cope? How did you cope with distractions like online within? If like distractions everywhere, it's like it's too obvious. How do you cope with distractions? What your real study?
I think one of the ways or one of the things that helped me cope with distractions was always listening to or common mentors, as I like to refer to them, people that will offer guidance, offer instruction, and help me remember that I have something I'm aiming for and I shouldn't be distracted. And then one of the things I had to do, I think sometimes during my preparations for examinations or when I'm about to get very serious with academics and reading and everything, I sometimes shut off my social media for days, sometimes months, sometimes weeks, depending on how long I need to work on what I need to work on. So I could freeze up my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Wow,
all those apps. I make sure that they are off and I'm not distracted. Then also
wow,
having good friends is a plus because having good friends will help keep you in check. So whenever it's as if you're getting too distracted and then you turn around and you see your friend studying and being serious, it has a way of waking you up. So those are the two things I would say that helped. Advice from common mentors on social media, on short videos and the rest, and then very wonderful friends who are also serious about academics and they serve as an inspiration for me.
Okay, I'll take that as dealing with distractions online. So,
Okay.
since you have dealt with distractions online, what about the offline aspect of distractions? Because you have friends around you, like them, they are still online. You get what I'm saying? Like distractions here and there, offline.
Mhm.
How do you do those ones?
In terms of distractions offline, I think the way I handled that was, first of all, I had to sacrifice social life to a very large extent. So I wasn't available for a lot of gatherings, a lot of outings, a lot of going out and the rest. And I thank God for my close circle of friends. There were also people that weren't into a lot of outings and a lot of all those other things. So I've never been to a club. I've never been to any, should I say, overnight event. The highest I go out and come back is 6, 7 o'clock. So I make sure that all of those things serve like a guide to ensure that I keep in check and that I do not get distracted or stay up long enough to maybe miss my study time or any important thing I'm supposed to be doing.
All right. So, graduating the first class, would you mind sharing your study pattern with us? Like, is there anything you are doing that others are not doing? Like, what pattern are you using? What is the magic? What is the magic?
Well, the magic behind getting a first class in terms of study pattern, I think one of the things that helped me again are the kind of friends I have because I am somebody that gets highly motivated when I see or I know or I hear about somebody that is also being serious. So I had to connect with the people in my department that were very serious and they were achieving results. Some of them were already way ahead of me in academics, so I had to like connect with them and also learn from them, discover their reading patterns, and then from there I began to adapt and find out what works for me. So I think that's one of the things that really helped me. And then in terms of study pattern, yeah, I actually love to read early in the morning.
Mm,
So I made sure that most of my reading was done early in the morning, of course, between 3, 4 o'clock down to
nice.
6, 7. And then also during exam periods, I barely go out. I barely do any other thing. So I make sure that the 1 week, 2 weeks before the exams are very important, very crucial to me. And the night before every exam is very crucial to me. So I make sure that I dot my I's, I cross my T's during this period, and I make sure anything I haven't read or prepared for throughout the semester is properly read up and prepared so that I do not entertain any surprises in the exam hall.
Wow, 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 wow. So, um, this generation now is no longer all about the schooling. Is um, almost every student now have a side hustle because they
Yeah,
tell you of what use is going to school when you don't have the money, when you are not going to make money and all that. So
yeah,
if at all you have a side hustle, how do you balance side hustle as a student? Like,
yeah. I think when it comes to balancing side hustle as a student, I am not really in support of the fact that, let's say, someone that is just starting school should already start having a side hustle.
mm,
If you know that finances is a serious problem for you, I recommend taking out time to work and earn the money first before you even get started. Because the way the academic system in Nigeria is, your first 3 years are very crucial. If you're doing a 5 year course, the first 3 years are very important. If you're doing a 4 year course, the first 2 years are very, very important as far as determining your grades. So if you mess up in any capacity, during this period of time, you might have to pay for it dearly for the rest of your academics. So I don't recommend that 100 level, 200 level, or even 300 level students should have a side hustle, depending on the number of years you're doing. You should take out time before you even start to make sure that the funds for that is available so that you can focus. And then towards your penultimate year and your final year, you can now decide to take up a side hustle in relation to how much free time you can accommodate. So what happened to me was during my 400 level, which was my penultimate year, and then the final year, which was my 500 level, I actually had gotten engaged because during my 400 level, I was on IT actually, the internship, and then
Okay.
I had gotten a side hustle from there, which is graphics design. And on coming back to school, 500 level, I had to pair graphics design with my academics. And I saw how demanding that was. I had to sacrifice certain things at some point. And yeah, I just had to reschedule the way I had my reading pattern and everything. But I'm just seeing it that now, if I didn't have already have a solid background and a solid academic standing from my first 3 years, uh, it would have been a mess. So balancing academics with side hustles, it's very, very serious stuff. In other words, prepare, take time out, plan, prepare, ensure that you have the funds for at least the first 2, 3 years. Then towards your penultimate or final year, you can take up a side hustle and balance that out from there.
Okay, so you say that within those periods when you didn't have a side hustle, you're not pressured by others that were chasing the bag, as we
Now,
will say. You're
now
not
you
pressured.
no, 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 no. I had actually had good mentorship from somebody like Apostle Joshua Selman, and I knew
Okay.
that somebody that is going for something or headed for something, you shouldn't be distracted when other people that don't have the same goal with you. Because that's the funny thing. Your colleague, somebody else in your department might not have the same goal as you do. So they are free to do whatever they want, go out, hustle, and not really care, secure the bag, like we say. But for me, it wasn't just about securing the bag. I knew that I wanted to do something more with my academics. So I had to make sure that I finished as best as I could. And then yeah, so it's just the fact you have something else, something you consider very important, and you have to sacrifice every other craving or the desire to make money first, at least for the first 2 3 years. Yeah, you have to sacrifice that desire and make sure that you're serious with your academics. And then when you're done, except you don't have anything you want to do with the course you're studying, then fine, you can do whatever you want. But if you know that you want to have something to do with this course later on or this degree you're studying for, then it's very important that you pay attention to it as much as necessary.
Oh, wow. That is a nice one. So, I remember when I was in school, I stayed in a hostel, and this leads me to the next question. Like on a Sunday morning, you tend to find students still in the hostel, like some are doing activities that quote and they shouldn't be doing on a Sunday morning, like this low interest for lack of interest
Okay?
for going to church and all that. Some of
Yeah.
them go to the extent of today they are in this church, tomorrow they are in this church. They don't have a particular place of worship and all that. That is
Mhm.
according to the hostel life. But
Yeah.
now I believe you're a Christian and everything. So how do you balance your schooling, your commitment to God, your church service, and still all this the stress of school and all that? How do you combine all these things together?
Okay. First of all, I think one of the first things that helped was the fact that I grew up in a Christian background. So coming from a Christian family, I was already actively working and serving in church, even as at the time where I had admission. And also, I was staying at home, so I didn't get to like experience the hostel life, as you would say.
Okay.
And yeah, as a result of that, I was actively involved in different service units in church, and I couldn't afford to stay back at home and do anything else on a Sunday morning. But then as time went on, I think in 300, 400 level, I had to leave the house and come to live at an apartment close to school. And in doing that, I think I got to have a taste of what the old hostel people have, the reluctance to not want to go to church and the rest. But then again, listening to uncommon mentors helped. So during weekdays, anytime I'm actually free, I would actually go on TikTok, on social media. I had set up my social media in such a way that it was mostly always Christian or gospel stuff I was hearing. So when I open up social media, one of the any of the posts I'm seeing is related to church, related to helping you know God more, or some message is scriptural excerpt from Apostle Selman, Bishop David Oyedepo, and other men of God I follow. And then there was no way I was going to be listening to that all through the week. And then on Sunday, I would wake up and feel like I don't want to go to church. It just wasn't possible. So that would even make me prepare. I still had to make sure I would go for midweek service, even covenant hour of prayer at some point, which was early morning prayers. And then Sunday services, definitely not missing that. So those things were vital, they were crucial because my relationship with God goes beyond where I am at a particular time or how I feel. So whether I feel like going to church or not, I had understood already that going there is where I draw strength. The Bible says you go from strength to strength, they that appear before God in Zion. So if I need strength, I have to make sure that I am in church every Sunday. So I couldn't miss it. It's a lifestyle and I just didn't drop it.
All right, all right, all right. So, how did you scale through periods where things seem not to work as planned or expected? How can I please for you to understand? Um,
Okay.
Maybe academically, financially, or otherwise. How do you scale through this period where things seem not to like it didn't just work out as we expected it, and it's kind of discouraging and all that?
Yeah. Um Contrary to what I'll let you in on something. So for my first year, I had a 4.4, 4.42 CGPA, and then that was the first class. So I was the first class of my first year, and my second year it got worse because we were just starting the main engineering courses back at school, and my CGPA dropped from 4.42 to 4.26 in my second year. And those were the periods where I would say I was most spiritual because I was always in church, always serving and trying my best to ensure that I balance of spirituality and academics. But even at such points like that, there were times where I would write exams and then I would come out and I know that if God doesn't help me, there was no way I was going to pass this because it was tough, it was hard and everything. So there were times like that where it seemed like, oh, this thing's not really coming through. Should I really still continue? Should I really still put in the work and everything? And then financially as well, when I had to move out of the house and come to at my apartment close to school, um, I had to face some significant challenges because the whole idea of staying at home means you don't really get to experience life in a way. But when you're outside and you're your own and you can't always call home, then you know that you have to accommodate certain difficulties at some point. So there were all of those things. And but the way God helped me was that my mind was still set on what was to be done. Apostle Selma was the one that said, when you're under training, you don't choose how you want to be trained. So I didn't have get to choose how I wanted God to train me. All I got to choose was the fact that I would stay in training, I would stick through, and I would become what I wanted to be. So I had my goal in mind. I had what I was supposed to do in mind, and even when it wasn't looking easy, sometimes I would just come back from school, let's say after a difficult exam, and just on the road there, I would probably plug in my earphones and be playing a particular worship song or a particular praise song, and it'll just be playing in my head all the way from home, walking back to school. Sometimes I would walk because I just wanted that time to to pray and to just worship and to be by myself with God. So I would refuse to enter maybe a keke coming back or a tricycle. I'll just make sure that I walk down to the house, which was about 20 to 25 minutes. And then in those periods, I would just be praying and asking God for help and everything. And somehow, thankfully, God always heard. So even though I had those downtimes in terms of academics, in terms of finances, and every other thing, somehow in the end, God will always have a way of showing me and reassuring me that, yeah, this is still possible. I'm still with you. You're not alone. You can still make it. You can still become better, and all things can
Okay.
still work together for good.
Okay. So we're talking about striving academically in a Gen Z world. But let me put it this way, striving academically in a seemingly distracted world.
Okay.
Seemingly distracted world. So were there times you felt discouraged about academics? Were there times like that? Like, I don't think it worth it. I don't think school has come. I do. Were there
Yeah.
times you made such confessions?
Yes. Yes. I didn't get to make the confession because I felt first of all, the people that were saying those things were not really role models per se, so I couldn't follow
Okay.
them up in saying them. Yeah, but there were times where I felt like, this academics might not be able to cater for me, or it's probably not a very worthy goal to pursue and everything. But all those statements and talks like that were fueled by lack of knowledge, to be honest.
Wow. Wow.
Because when you know exactly what academics is, you would never, ever, ever get to say that. Most people are looking for a better life, most people are looking for chances at a better life and everything. And one of the things that has helped most Nigerians to secure a better life here in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, is academics. Everybody's looking for a way to leave the country and all of that. It might interest you to know that one of the best, most assured ways of leaving this country, if that's your interest, is by academics.
Wow.
So by the time I would learn this, all of these things, and the fact that if you want to pursue your master's degree or a higher degree like PhD after your bachelor's degree, and probably most people that did that pursued a higher degree, they always got a job. So if you wanted to do that, and then the places like US, some schools in US, UK, Australia, they are offering to even pay you for doing the PhD. So they pay your school fees, they pay for your tuition, they pay for your accommodation, they pay you for health benefits and all of those things, just so you can come and research. And when I looked at it, I saw, okay, so this is actually possible. I mean, being paid to learn, and after you learn, the average salary for somebody that has a PhD outside the
Mhm.
country, especially in a place like US, it's about 100 and something thousand per
Wow.
year. 100 and something $1,000. If you break that down into 12 months, you're talking about somewhere between 9,000 and $10,000 monthly.
Wow.
So that is already a lot of money, whether you're inside Nigeria or outside of Nigeria. And then you also get to apply that thing that you actually learned in a field where you are respected and everything. So the cutting the long story short, the idea is just that people don't know. So the people see the fact that, okay, maybe here in Nigeria you finish your academics and then you still have to end up looking for some other thing to do and some other engagement that is not even academic related to do. And some people do end up using their CV. So they now tag school as card. But they that know, they do know. There are scholarships everywhere. There is everything helping you to secure this full funding outside and the scholarships outside so that you go out there, you learn the skills, you are even being paid to learn the skills. And after you've gotten those skills, you can now decide, okay, I want to come back to Nigeria and make a positive impact, like some people are doing, or you want to stay there and look for a place, a company there and work, which is definitely not going to be a problem. So as you do all of that, you can now discover that you're far better off than probably people that tagged academics as calm and they weren't serious and all of that. So once I learned all of those things, it shaped my mindset and I couldn't agree with that statement. I just couldn't follow anybody that was saying that. I would just smile and be like, "You're not serious." And even people that were even inside Nigeria, my colleagues and all, they were getting scholarships. There is a particular
Wow.
colleague of mine. I think he's the highest paid scholar in the University of Uyo, especially Faculty of Engineering. It's the highest paid. I think he gets an average of 5 to 6 million naira a month, yearly,
Wow.
from
Wow.
scholarships alone. So when you now look at people like that, and he was wise enough to structure that in such a way that it helped him build a better life and afford certain things. And while his academics was still progressing. So when you now look at people like that, you find it hard to agree with any other person that school is scam, because people that say school is scam, they really are not serious, and they can't afford these things. So sometimes people say it out of frustration, which I understand. Sometimes people say it out of the fact that they are trying their best and they are not getting it, which I also understand. But that is not enough reason for anybody to say school is scam, because there are people that are benefiting maximally from it.
All right. All right. All right. That's a nice one.
Okay.
Looking at this present achievements, it's just like this your first class. It's just like should I target 1 in a million because fewer people do graduate with first class.
Yeah, I
Some
understand.
will tell you that they don't care. Or at first, they should just give them money and let them leave and go and focus on their dreams and all that. So, looking
Yeah.
at this achievement, would you say your younger self saw it coming and you worked hard towards achieving this at your maybe
Okay.
your junior secondary and all that?
Yeah. Um, I actually have always been a top five student right from secondary school. So my secondary school had a grading system where after every test that we wrote, they would bring out a list of people calling them the first five. And as God would have it, I was always in the first five, at least for most of the
Wow.
times. So I was always in and out, but more in than out. So I always knew that yeah, I was somebody that was very sound academically. And then when I was coming into the university, my dad made a statement. That's during my 100 level, one of the days I was about leaving the house. And he was telling me something. He said that I'm not going to school to go and try whether I'll be able to pass or not. That is already settled that I can pass wherever I am. So I was going there to make a name, to make a path, and to, of course, be among the top five, like I've always been. So he said that, and that shaped the way I was seeing academics generally. So I didn't come in. I wasn't coming in even right from my 100 level. I had the idea that I wasn't coming in here to just survive or just try and pass and everything. No, I was coming in here to dominate. And of course,
Wow.
coming from the winners family, Living Faith Church Winners Chapel, Bishop would always say that, yeah, you're ordained for the top. You're a star. You're ordained for the top. So I came in with the idea that I was going to be at the top. And so even when I saw my results in like my 100 level, like I shared earlier, it wasn't the first class in my 100 level. It wasn't the first class in my 200 level. And it
Mm.
now started, almost disturbing me. Like, I'm made for the top. Why am I not at the top? Why am I not doing this? And then all of that. But I would later learn the principles that make for excellence. It's not just about your efforts. You have to connect with people that already have these results. Try and see how they are doing it. Maybe there's something you're missing and all of that. And that's what I did between the 200 and 300 level. I think that was the time where we had COVID-19 come up, and so there was the lockdown. So that gave me enough time to sit down and reevaluate my whole academics. Like, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? And I was listening to messages, I was praying, and God showed me some things to do. And as I did those things, I began to see the change. So, generally, to answer your question, did I see this coming? Well, I had always seen that I was one of the top students, and I had always had that feeling that I should be one of the top students. And so, finally, when the final results were out and the analysis were done, and it was found out that I was the third in my department, and I I just smiled, and it just kind of reminded me of everything I had been working towards. So it wasn't just about having a first class at this time, but also about being one of the top people in the classes, like the first five people in the classes, just like I've always been throughout
Mm.
my secondary school days. So I saw it coming, yes, I did. And by God's grace, I was able to work hard towards achieving it.
Wow, wow, wow. Like, what's interesting, like, those during the COVID-19 period, they're able to bounce back, like, you
Yeah.
came back with full force and you hit the first class. Like,
Yeah.
it's a nice one, it's a nice one. So, with this your story now, what advice do you have for those currently in school and they are feeling discouraged about the whole thing? Honestly, people are discouraged. Honestly, students are discouraged for like many factors: strike, one of them,
Mhm.
lack of financings, the poor schooling system. Like you can blame it on many things. Honestly,
Yeah.
people are being discouraged about the whole academy. So, what will you say? What can you say that will convince them in this, like with what they can see? What will you say to convince them to stay?
Okay. What I would say to convince people that are being discouraged, it would have to depend on what the situation is. So, first of all, I think I've actually had to speak to different people, both in my faculty as a 500 level student and as a 400 level student as well. I had my junior colleagues coming to me, and they had different issues, different challenges. And one of the things I would tell them was, I'll try to find out first what exactly is the problem. Is it that you have an issue with this course you're studying, or you actually like the course, but the way it is being taught is not favorable? So I'll try to understand where the problem was coming from. If it's an issue with the course, in other words, you don't really have any passion for this course, you were pushed into it and everything. What I try to tell them is, well, you're already here. So try and make sure that you finish well, because how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm.
So if you don't take, these things serious, even though it's not something you really wanted to do, if you don't take that very seriously, you'll discover at the end of the day that you might not be able to take anything else serious. But if you can put your mind to it, learn the things you're supposed to learn the tips and the should I say strategies that make for success. If you're able to learn those things and apply them and come out well, even if it wasn't something you wanted to do, then you can look back and say, if this is something I didn't even like and I could do it this well, how much more something that I love or something I'm passionate about? That means you find the encouragement, you find the motivation to go out there and excel in something that you actually are interested in. And if it is the fact that you actually are interested in this particular course, but you're having issues like finances and the rest, I still think that for every problem, there is a way out. First of all, try and pray. Try and talk to God about it and try to ask God for help. Because when you ask God for help, He opens you up and He's able to connect you to people that can actually help you. And then the second thing would be, speak to people about it. Speak to people that are ahead of you. Speak to people that are doing better. Speak to people that finished well. Try to talk to them and share your unique problems with them, and also listen to the insights that they offer you. Try to do what they say and try to make sure that your mind is on the goal. At the end of the day, you know what you're aiming for. So the hardships, the setbacks shouldn't hold you down. No matter how hard it gets, as take a breather, you can take rest sometimes, take a break and try to look at everything again, but make sure that you stay the course until what you achieve, what you're really aiming for is achieved, and then you have what you want. So I would say try to talk to somebody about it. Whatever the challenge is, try to talk to somebody about it, especially somebody that is higher than you in terms of academics, or yeah, somebody that is at the place that you want to get to. So try to talk to somebody about it, and when you share with them, they would offer unique insights that would hopefully help to solve your problem. We're praying for you, and we hope that you come out well and you achieve your goals like you set.
All right, all right. So, um, electrical electronics. Before asking my next question, why electrical electronics? Why? Like why? Of of all, why
Why?
electrical electronics?
Okay. Why electrical electronics? I think one of the things that really pushed me to that was the kind of situation that I experienced growing up, because electrical electronics is a course that deals directly with the number one, in my opinion, the number one problem in Nigeria, which is the issue of electricity. So, electricity is a serious problem, like, or the absence of it is a serious problem. I was doing a research earlier this year, and I found out that 45% of Nigerians are not even connected to the grid. That's, they're having grid related problems. So they don't have, there's no hope of them having light. Now, the other 55% that are connected to the grid, they are still having issues, and they are unable to have light, should I say, 24 hours as it should be. Most people celebrate if they could even have 6 or 8 hours of light, and that is not even sufficient for anything. So, looking at all of that, growing up, I was in a household where we had to try and put on the gen every night in order to read and do all of that. And we only put on the gen for 3 4 hours. So you had 3 4 hours to make use of electricity every day. 3 4 hours alone. What are you going to do in 3 hours? Are you going to finish charging, devices? Well, you sometimes you can't even get to iron your dresses and all of those things. So there are basic stuff that should be done, but they are not being done because there is no affordable electricity and reliable one too. So electrical engineering offers me the opportunity to fix that problem. And when I came into the field, I actually saw that there are ways to fix this. So I chose electrical electronics engineering, but majorly what was in my mind was electrical aspect, which was a tool to solve the power problem in Nigeria. And till today, it's still something I'm working on and hoping to birth a solution. Yeah, that would solve that problem.
So would you say it's something you had passion from birth, or along the line you develop passion for it? Because most of the children, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. Were you among those that said you want to be a doctor?
I don't know, no. Actually, right from when I was growing up, I didn't want to be a doctor. I was always intrigued by two professions were in my mind growing up. Engineering was one of them. I don't know. I think
Okay.
it was probably something about the way that word is pronounced. Engineer, like, yeah,
Okay.
this is it. And that was as at 3 4 years old though. And then when I grew up to about 6 7 years, I was actually somebody that was able to engage in debates. So I did a lot of debates right from primary school and everything. And I was excelling very well in my English language. And I wasn't doing so spectacularly well in maths, which was a requirement for engineering. So at that point, I was thinking maybe I should do law. Maybe I should be a lawyer because I was able to formulate arguments. Of course, like a debate person would do. I was able to formulate arguments and state out my point clearly, and I wouldn't let go until the other person accepts my point as the truth. So something like that, yeah. So in those kind of scenarios, I was like, okay, so I should probably be a lawyer. Although I got to learn that there is more to law than just formulating arguments. There are steps to follow. There are all the redneck involved and everything. And when I got into secondary school, I had a very good teacher that helped me embrace maths openly. Till today, he's one of the most influential people when it comes to my academics because he played a big role in my life to help me understand and appreciate mathematics. So because of him and because of his tutelage, I was able to rise and become better in my mathematics. And at the end of the day, and also that okay, maybe the engineering dream is still very possible. I spoke to my parents about it, and they told me, yeah, you should probably go ahead with engineering since that's what you've always had in mind. And I thought about it. I looked at the courses that I was excelling at back in secondary school, and those courses were, of course, mathematics, English language, then physics. So
Okay.
I loved those, and I was embracing those far more than any of the arts courses, which was related to law and the rest. So I made the choice that nah, I want to stay with engineering. I'm intrigued by science. I'm intrigued by how you can learn principles, scientific principles, and use it to solve daily problems and all of that.
Yeah.
I used to build a lot of stuff growing up, some pet
Wow.
projects. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
The whole idea of connecting bulbs to batteries directly, taking out maybe a sports touchlight, taking the bulb out
Mm.
from there, connecting it to a battery, and then seeing the lights come up, and then looking at it that in the night, maybe when the gen is off or there's no light that night, you can
And
use that to
alternative.
like see your way around exactly. So engineering was more like, yeah, this is practical. This is something that can produce a problem and solve a problem, and here and now. You don't need to wait for anything. You don't need anybody. Just
Mm.
have the tools that you can solve those problems. So I followed that dream up until date, and that was how I ended up in electrical electronics engineering.
All right. So, okay, fine and good. You finally settled for electrical electronics engineering. But there's this thing that is common among us, like chemical engineering, ending up people like end up saying, "Welcome to my YouTube channel." Like, what's this? You understand what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
like, you study this in school, but yeah, you don't end up
doing that.
practicing or doing what you studied. So,
Yeah.
my next question is, what else will you be doing if you're not studying, if you're not practicing, sorry, in your field of study? If not
Mhm.
electrically, what else will you be doing?
Ah, that's interesting. So if I'm not
Uh,
practicing electrical engineering at the end of the day, I think what I would be doing is design, graphics design, UI UX design, because for me, design is actually similar to engineering. You still
hmm,
get to learn principles and apply those principles to solve a particular problem. So design very much like engineering, it involves planning, it involves strategy. You have to make sure everything is um, combined and brought together in such a way that it solves the problem at the end of the day. And also, you don't need to wait for anything else. Once you have the problem, a design problem, you want to communicate an idea, you just go straight to looking for whatever tools will help you solve that problem. So you think about the way you mix your colors, your text, your shapes, and all of those things. You organize them in such a way that they end up solving a problem. UX design is actually very similar to engineering because UI UX design involves you listening to the user's problem or thinking of ways to solve that user's problem and then rolling out the solution in stages, just like engineering is. You roll out solutions in stages and you keep on refining until it gets better and better and very perfect. So if I'm not doing engineering, I will take my problem solving skills to UI UX design and graphics design and apply them there and still make a difference.
so let me be a bit silly with this kind of question. So,
Okay.
are you trying to tell me that you dump your 5 years of electrical electronics for for UI UX? Like at this point now, you're trying to weigh which one pays more. Is that what you base
Okay.
it on? Or
No, well, you can't turn a blind eye to things like how much this one pays compared to this. So it all depends. Electrical engineering in Nigeria today is is something that you have to work extremely hard at, which I'm not afraid of doing. But sometimes you discover that in order for you to get ahead, you need help. You need serious funding. For example, I am interested most particularly in renewable energy engineering and seeing how I can make sure that the solar, especially solar energy, is being used to power up and eliminate the power problems that we're having today. So by setting up what we call microgrids, which would allow different houses connect to a particular solar source, and then they utilize the energy from there and everything. So if you look at something like that, first of all, you need to get into an industry that is doing this so that you can learn from this industry, learn how the things are being done, learn exactly how microgrids work and all of those things. And after you've learned, you still need a lot of funding in order to start up like a company that actually solves this problem. Because what you have today are mostly companies that just sell solar panels and they just install it for people, which is not exactly solving the problem because most people cannot afford it. So if you want to think of something more innovative, you still need to collaborate and the rest. But getting into the industry first is already a bit demanding, and at some point, sadly, in the nation we live in today, you still need to like know somebody and know somebody that knows somebody before you can get into the firm to even get started. So that's a little bit very tasking because I don't seem to know a lot of people, and what should I say, people that can get me into those offices. So in the meantime, I'm looking at design. But my idea is the same. I'm trying to see, is there a way that I can maybe raise some funds from design and use it to further the academics in terms of electrical electronics engineering, and then from there achieve the goal? Because the goal is to make sure that the power problem in Nigeria, especially in my community, is solved. That's one of my personal goals. And I know that in order to ensure that, I have to set up a microgrid that works. But the cost of setting up a microgrid is not very cheap, actually. We're talking about hundreds of millions of naira. And if the economy gets bad, we're probably going to be needing a billion naira or so. So these are things that are very expensive, very, very expensive. So you need to, first of all, be equipped, and when you're equipped with the knowledge, then you now find ways of collaborating with government, with other agencies, and making sure that you secure the funding. There are grants that are going on, but yeah, you need to show your proof of work before you can get those grants and everything. So, long story short, you cannot deny the fact that you need money while you are trying to pursue your or achieve your goals.
Yes, yes.
Yes, exactly. So you need it. So if that means taking up another skill, you can always do that. Or taking
Okay.
up a soft skill while you are doing that, yeah, you can always do that. But the main thing is don't forget what your initial goal was. People take detours, people leave their career and go to do something else and all of that. And but the fact is, if you have something that you're supposed to do and you're not doing it, you will not have any rest. Especially somebody like me, I actually don't have any rest until that thing is done. So I know that even if I'm running and then I'm going to design or I'm going to any other thing, I know that at some point in my life, I will have to do this thing and solve this problem. If I don't, I won't really find rest per se. So while I'm working on design, while I'm hoping to um, further in engineering, I'm working on design. But my idea is, I've not forgotten what the main goal is. I still have that in mind and I'm still working towards it. And I believe God that one day this dream I have in my heart will be actualized through
Mm,
electrical engineering. So while I might not bear the title engineer, but I might at the end of the day, of course, I will have to bear the title because I've actually gotten the degree and I've fulfilled the major part of what it takes to do that. But while I might not be um, actively practicing in the engineering field right now, I still have it in mind that at the end of the day, I will have to circle back to that in order to solve that problem and actualize that goal that I have. Yeah,
okay. So in this part of our country,
yeah,
the people that the professional workers that tends to fly abroad in the search
mhm,
for greener pasture are they have the doctors and the nurse
yeah.
most of the time. So do you think they need your services outside this country? Do you think they
Oh,
need or they are satisfied with what they have already?
okay. Yeah, they actually do. I know that, of course, our medical brothers receive more
Mm,
attention in a way
mm,
compared to others outside. But the truth is that the world generally is looking for solutions.
wow.
And
Mm,
if you're a solution, you will still always find a place. So I look at myself at every point in time that I'm not average. I'm not just going there to be a part of a mammoth crowd and looking for somebody that will help me. I know I'm bringing a unique advantage to wherever I am. So have that at the back of my mind, and wherever I'm going to, if I get to leave the country, wherever I'm going to, I'll ensure that I show them the fact that I have something that I'm bringing to you. I'm an advantage. I'm a plus. So I'm not just looking
wow.
for some space for you to fix me in.
Mm,
No, I'm coming with a unique idea. I'm coming with a contribution that almost nobody else has, and I'm coming with something else that will make you accept me, and you discover that you need my services and everything. So while it is true that the medical guys have more attention, they are more in demand, there are also places that also need electrical engineering. So far, you have a future minded mindset, because that's one of the things. That's one of my reasons for choosing renewable energy engineering, because renewable energy is something that has its bearing in today's world and also in the future. So it's something that you will still have need of even in the future, and in the coming years and everything. So if you can get in there and do a unique research, you discover and solve a problem, of course, companies would always be lining up to want to pick you up. And you go in there, you show them that you have a solution. You are a solution to the world, and you're not just a problem. Of course, they would welcome you, and they would give you a space gladly with all the benefits that should come with that.
all right. All right. Um, what are your hobbies?
My
If you're not,
hobbies.
if you're not praying, you're not reading book. Okay, what else have you
Ah,
been doing if not academics?
okay. My hobbies. I enjoy watching movies. That might be a surprise, but yeah, I actually do. I enjoy watching movies that are technical. They have some very interesting sides to it. So thriller movies, some crime movies, and then some superhero movies, because I draw inspiration from all these sources, and they help me see the world differently and understand other people better, or understand the decisions that people make. So I like watching movies, and then I also enjoy having meaningful discussions, because, of course, just like movies, they help me understand people well, understand better, help me learn certain things I don't know, and they also help me state and impact somebody else with the knowledge of what I know already and everything. So I like doing that as well. And then I also play games. I
Oh,
used to play PS back in 2017, 2018, before I had admission and everything. Although when I got into school, we talked about distractions earlier. So
mm.
that was becoming a distraction. I had to drop that. But yeah, I think I'm a bit rusty, but I'm still good at playing these games to an extent. So yeah, these are my hobbies. So games, movies, and meaningful discussions. I'm thinking of picking up basketball soon. That should be a plus as
You must
well.
have the eyes for that.
So yeah, I should pick up. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I think you should talk about your side hustle. Like, I think you should talk about it.
Okay. So
What do you do apart?
yeah, my
Aside
side
the side
hustle. I
hustle?
think I think I mentioned earlier is
Mm,
design. So
mm,
I'm currently doing graphics design, UI UX design. And basically, what that is about, graphics design, the aspect of graphics design I'm mostly into is branding. So, branding has to do with helping a company or a brand that just recently started up to have an identity. So, rightly positioning them, with what they need to be able to have a unique identity that speaks to their customers, their target audience, and imprints them in the minds of those people. So that's what I help brands do. I help them to create memorable and unique identities that helps them stand out and yeah, that aligns with their goals and their mission. And that involves designing logos, designing social media templates, colors, picking up the colors that would help announce them properly, colors, fonts, and all of those brand assets, and then creating social media graphics for them for their social media pages and the rest, and letterhead, stationaries, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, and whatever else they need as brand assets. But basically, what I do is help them stand out and help them have a unique identity that attracts their viewers and communicates their goals to their audience. And then I also am involved in UI UX design, which is the design of digital products like websites and mobile apps, of course, that solve different problems and meet different needs and are for different purposes. But that's what I do across platforms. So I design across industries, websites, and mobile apps or web apps that help to solve a particular problem and help to contribute to the well-being of the users. So these are two things I'm doing currently.
How long have you been in the UX US business? Like,
Okay. Okay. I started UI UX in 2022. That was
wow,
during my internship. Yeah. I was fortunate because my company had a free design lecture. They had to bring in somebody else to teach us for a period of 3 months. And the person came in and he was very gracious. I think I was one of the three people that completed that course in the company. So we took the course for free, and the person was very experienced and he showed us the things we needed to get started. I picked an interest in it, and that was how I got started.
wow, wow. So, how do people do reach out to you? Like, how do clients? Is there a
Okay.
platform where they reach out to you and all that?
Okay. There are various ways where you meet clients. There are various platforms for freelancing because that's really what it's all about. Freelancing, you have your skills, you have people reach out to you, and you help them solve whatever problems they're having. So there are various platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, amongst others. There's freelancer.com and the rest.
Okay,
But the one I was introduced to was Upwork. So I was introduced to Upwork by a colleague at my IT office, and he helped me get started. He helped me set up, and he helped answer most of the questions I had when I was getting started. So that became a strong fort for me. Alongside people I met day to day in my activities. So my contact list consisted of a target market and a source of several gigs, but majorly Upwork is very instrumental to the work and the design I'm doing today. I've met most of my clients from there. Yeah.
okay. So I believe from this your UI UX design, there are some achievement major like you have been privileged to design for major brands or just
Okay.
big brands and the rest, both national and international, right?
Okay. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to design for some very spectacular and like you said, outstanding companies both inside and outside. Although
Yeah.
I've not gotten a role yet with should I say any of the big firms like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and the
Okay.
rest. But I've had the opportunity to work for spectacular companies like Access Skills. So Access Skills
Wow.
is one of the leading healthcare training providers in the UK, and I've had the opportunity of working with them for some time now as their graphic designer and a UI UX designer. That is alongside other very important projects in the US and Canada and Asia
Wow.
and different
Wow. So,
countries of the world.
so at this point now, you're in Nigeria, but you have gone all over the world. Your designs have
But
gone over the
listen,
world.
God
It's
told Abraham, in your seed shall nations of the earth be blessed. So that's my mindset at
wow.
this point. So nations
Uh,
of the earth have to be blessed by me because I'm a seed of Abraham, a child of God.
Well, there's a scripture. This series is, I said, the global impact mindset is a series inviting young creative individuals like you,
Yeah,
making a global impact in their respective field. You
yeah,
guys are here to share your experiences and you encourage your contemporaries to join you on this journey. So I attach a scripture to this from the Bible from the book of Matthew 5, verse 16. And it
okay.
says, let your lights shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven.
Mhm. Yeah,
So by privilege, we were able to come across your post online and we're like, this cannot go unnoticed. And thank you for accepting our invitation and sparing out of your busy schedule, sparing us, cutting down your time for us to speak to us and encourage the Gen Z, most especially the Gen Z, because I feel the distraction of the Gen Z is becoming something else. Like, so thank you for showing the Gen Z that telling the Gen Z that okay, this thing can actually work. Like, there's a way out and distractions can be curtailed. Yeah. So
cool, cool.
thank you for coming around. Wish you
You're welcome.
success in your future endeavors. Thank you and have a nice time.
No problems. I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much. I wish
We
you
wish
the
to, we wish
best
to
too.
see you again in a better and bigger way.
Okay, sure, sure, no problems.
Okay, have a
All
nice
right.
time. Have a
Thank you
nice
very
time.
much.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Uh,
All right. Cheers.
okay.